Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Tommo YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're choosing to consume my pre-race CHINWAG for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix. How are we doing, everyone? Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for all the positivity after yesterday's videos, yesterday's announcements. This year's going to be a very exciting year. I'm not going to waste too much of your time talking about it, but honestly, you lot are so kind. You're far too good to me. And it gets me there. It does, honestly. It really does. But thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's talk about Spain, shall we? Let's get into the meat and bones. Let's not waste any of your time because you're all giving me your time, and I do appreciate it. Dexter, Ollie, Senor, Dip. I'm not going to say the end bit because that's going to be a naughty word. Amy, Halita, Brian, Obi, Cobalt, Rainer, Gloomy, Gladiator Joe, Daniel, Zander, Brandon, Echo, and the rest of you. I appreciate you all joining me here live. And get in the poll in the live chat if you are here live on YouTube. Expectations around a big weekend for Formula 1, a big weekend for this 2025 season. A lot of talk around the Flexi wing changes, a weird time to introduce it, if you're going to introduce it at all. We're here round 9 and there's going to be some changes to the load tests on the front wing specifically to reduce the deflection. Basically, they're cutting it. They used to be able to deflect by, what was it? Was it 15 mil they can deflect with 100 Newton weight on them? And now it's going to 10, which doesn't sound like much. And it might not be. That's the thing. We don't know. It might not be much. It might be a lot. It's really hard to predict going into this weekend. This is a difficult one to call around a track that all of these teams know very, very well. We don't test in Spain anymore like we used to. But, yeah. We're going to see. We're going to see some changes, hopefully. A mixing up of the pecking order is always interesting, especially you've got to look at, Ferrari and Mercedes haven't been able to give their drivers the packages to fight, to challenge in this drivers' championship fight. It's the two McLarens, it's Max Verstappen leading the way on that front. Hopefully, Ferrari and Mercedes can do something to bring their lads to the table. I really hope so. I really, really hope so. I mean, even with 3 drivers fighting for a title, it's very competitive, it's very compelling, it's very interesting. If you add Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, and even at a stretch, Kimi Antonelli, even though he's had a couple of difficult weekends as Kimi, but we know he's got the raw pace, he got that pole position in Miami. Oh, we could be on for a hell of a season. I really, really hope so. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Pre-race, make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. Round 9, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Could be the penultimate time we race, not in Spain, but in Barcelona, because of course the Madrid street circuit is joining the calendar next year. There will be 2 Spanish Grand Prix next year, but then 27, it's looking likely that with all the infrastructure spend on Madrid, that's going to stay. And if any Spanish Grand Prix is going to disappear, it's going to be this one instead of Madrid, isn't it? Which is, I don't know. We had a good race last year. We had a very good race last year, actually. I watched the highlights. Always watch the highlights of the race the year prior just to refresh my memory on what played out last time. And we had a pretty decent race last time out. I really like Catalunya as a track. I enjoy it from my sim racing days growing up. It's a track I've done probably... Catalunya and Mugello are the 2 tracks I've done the most virtual laps on in my life. So I've got a lot of time for Catalunya, got a lot of time for Spain. And hopefully it delivers something. I mean, compared to what we had in Monaco last weekend, it's not going to be too difficult to improve on that, is it? We have a overtaking spot in Catalunya, which is, again, more than can be said for Monaco. But we'll get onto that, shall we? We will get onto that, don't you worry. So let's have a quick circuit overview of Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya in Spain. 4.66 kilometres long, 66 laps. Fairly straight, fairly flat at the start, and then we go uphill around kind of turn 3. We saw obviously big moves from Lewis and Nico back in the day when they took each other out on the run into turn 4 as well. Many an iconic moment has played out around Spain, and obviously turn 1 we got a lot of side-by-side action last year. We had Charles and Carlos tripping over each other as Ferrari teammates. We had an unbelievable move from George into turn 1 off the start, and we had some great battling with Max and George as well, getting the up and over. George and Lando, their battle went from turn 1 all the way till really turn 7, really. And there was some proper little fights going on. You know, George wasn't one to lay down easy, but he didn't have the car underneath him to get it done, did old George. And then the kind of second half of the lap, you don't really get much in terms of wheel-to-wheel overtaking. Obviously, they have changed the circuit. They changed it a few years back. They got rid of that awkward chicane at the end and just kind of smoothed out towards the end, which has, I think, helped moves into turn 1. It's one of them that if the DRS zone's too powerful down the main straight, you end up getting DRS overtakes with, you know, nothing to write home about, you know what I mean? Whereas when you want the DRS to allow cars to get side by side. You don't want to allow the DRS to just going past, bye, have a great time, carry on with your day. You want, you know, to give you a nose in, but not enough to actually complete the move and get it done. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's going to be fun, hopefully. Weather's looking at kind of mid to high 20s, which will certainly play against some cars and into the favour of others. Spain is pretty warm. That's why it's a good place to go on holiday. I haven't been to Barcelona for a while, you know. I need to get back to Barcelona. Han loves a bit of Barcelona as well. So I am hopeful. I'm hopeful with the Flexi wing changes, with the higher temps, which that's probably going to hurt Mercedes, and that might reflect in my predictions. Yeah, I'm hopeful we're going to get a decent Spanish Grand Prix. I really am. I really am hopeful. But yeah, last time out, Max took the win ahead of Lando Norris, who Lando did put it on P1, pole position, but wasn't able to convert in the end. And it was neither of them who led out of turn 1, by the way. That was George who came flying through. But his race unravelled, sadly. And Lewis Hamilton took P3 on the podium. It was a good race, a very good race by Barcelona standards. A very good race by Barcelona standards. So, yeah, it remains to be seen whether this one will stick about. It's unlikely. This is the penultimate lap, the penultimate running of the Catalunya race. I can't say Spanish Grand Prix anymore because that's moving to Madrid. Which is, for me personally, it's a shame. It's tough. It's tough to accept, but it looks like that's the way it's going to be. Unless it alternates. But again, you can't justify having 2 Spanish Grand Prix when we don't have a race in Germany, we don't have a race in France. Monaco doesn't count technically. You know, I think Kyalami, Thailand, there's talk of a race in Thailand coming up at some point. Argentina, if that gets done, you know, I think if tracks have to be let go to accommodate really interesting, exciting new venues, then even with my connection, my love of Barcelona, Catalunya, I would forego it. Personally, I would be willing to let it go. Just make sure it's something decent in its place, please. I would love that. Anything but a dull street track. That's the thing. Because some street tracks can be all right, but the weight on the calendar, 24 Grand Prix. I can't. Anyone in chat? How many of the 24 would you classify as street circuits? There's obviously some that are kind of like Canada is technically kind of a street circuit because it's run around a park, but I don't consider that to be a street race. You've got a few that are kind of like that. They're almost like hybrids somewhat. Mexico is kind of a funny one because obviously it is purpose-built track, but then you run through the stadium, which is different, but that's certainly not a street track. Melbourne's a tricky one as well because it's kind of same with Canada. It's around a park, but it doesn't feel like a street circuit. Maybe that's the trees. I don't know. You know, we just want iconic venues, interesting venues, diverse venues, and this is still why, even after last weekend, we really need to try and find a way to make Monaco work because it's such an iconic venue. I don't, you know, some of the commentary and people talking about, oh yeah, but it's great for the fans who go. Sure, but like the people who are able to go to the Monaco Grand Prix is a fraction of a percent of the people actually watching, and you have to cater to the majority, absolutely, in this instance. So yeah, Monaco definitely they just need to move the Nouvelle chicane, move it 80 meters down, reclaim a bit of the harbour. I mean, Monaco have done that plenty anyway. That's one of the things that Alex Vert suggested. That's one of the things I suggested 2.5 years ago in my 4 things I'd change about Monaco video. Turns out adding a 2-stop was not enough. So I was definitely hoping for more. But the teams are too clever. Far too smart. So yeah, anyway, I digress. We're not talking about Monaco. We're talking about Barcelona, aren't we? So, quick reflection on the qualifying head-to-heads going into this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. These are how the average gaps over the first 10 of 30 qualifying sessions, including the sprint qualies, remember, are looking so far this season. The biggest gap on average is, of course, Max to Yuki, 8 tenths at the moment. Yuki hasn't been able to get a clean qualifying weekend together. He was half a second off Max in Monaco. But yeah, he still needs to work on his 1-lap pace, 1-lap confidence in that Red Bull, absolutely relative to Max. No question. Then a big drop down to Gasly and Colapinto, 0.461. But we only have 2 qualifying sessions to look at between those two, so that's going to change quite a bit. If Franco can hook one up, then maybe he's onto a good thing. And then it gets a lot tighter. Alonso, Stroll, Russell Antonelli, Hadjar, Lawson, all 3 to 2.5 tenths, those gaps. Leclerc, Hamilton, about 2 tenths. Albon, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Bertoletto and Ocon, Behrman are all basically identical, 1.5 tenths essentially. And then Piastri, Norris, less than a tenth. Big qualifying for Lando. I hope for a title fight that he can kick on now. You know, that confidence that they're giving him, putting it on pole at the most important qualifying session of the year. You know, he's got it in him, Lando. He's got the talent, no question. And hopefully for a title fight, because we want to see this guy in the distance. Max, Oscar, Lando. Maybe we chuck a couple of Ferraris in there if they sort their car out this weekend. Oh, please. That would be so good. That would be so good. Oh, simply lovely. So that reflects on driver standings wise. After 8 of 24 rounds so far this season, Piastri still leads the title, but by just 3 points. 3 points to Lando Norris. Then Max, 136 points. So that is 25 points behind Oscar Piastri, which is a race win. So not much. Not when you've got, 16, 15, whatever it is, rounds to go. 16, yeah. I can maths. And then Russell, 99, still holding on, George, but no points in Monaco was a big L. Big L, considering how consistent the start of the season they were. The car conking out in qualifying, no good. And then in the race, stuck behind in the train with no strategic forethought from Mercedes, seemingly, to get him out of that situation. So that was tough. Leclerc, Hamilton, Antonelli, Albon, Ocon, Hadjar make up your top 10 in the driver standings. Lovely jubbly. And then team standings, McLaren, it's a done thing. Like, of course, McLaren are going to win the Constructors' title this season. Like, they've got 2 drivers who are... It's the most competitive overall package, and maybe that'll change with the Flexi wings. Spoiler alert, I don't think it massively will. In my opinion, I'm not expecting a massive change. I think the teams have had long enough to engineer their way around, all right, we're losing a bit of flexibility, testing out, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to make a massive change. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to, if I had to put money on it anyway. So McLaren are cut above the rest in terms of best package, and 2 drivers getting the closest to the ceiling of that car compared to any other driver pairing on the grid, frankly. But then Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari all split by just 5 points. So very, very close, very, very tight. Lovely jubbly. And then Williams kind of on their own in P5, which they'll be very, very happy about. And then Haas, Racing Bulls, Aston Martin, Alpine, Sauber. Everyone's got a point, at least a point. And it is changing every weekend. It seems to be moving the pecking order. Aston Martin definitely have a more competitive car now than the points reflect. But I mean, Haas are super yo-yo. They're 6th in the Constructors. And honestly, like, with these points, the way that F1 allocates points to drivers and teams, it does reward a yo-yo car versus a consistent car, because the peaks bring the points, the troughs don't. If you're consistently 11th, consistently 12th, still 0 points. It doesn't. Being 11th and being 20th, nil pois, right? Doesn't make a difference. So yeah, that's how we're looking. Right, okay, cool. That's the main prologue of the stream. Now I'm going to jump in the live chat. First of all, I'm going to have a quick look at the poll. 1,030 of you have voted. How much will the Flexi wing change the impact? Wait, what? I can't read my own question. How much will the Flexi wing change impact the competitive order? There we go. Well done, Tomo. 5% of you think it will make absolutely loads of change, so it will completely change things up. 35% of you think it will be a decent amount of change. 55% of you, so more than half of you, think hardly at all. It will hardly make any change. And 4% of you think it will make zero change, so nil pois. And yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with the 55. I think if there's the problem is as well, we might see, like, say for example, Max puts it on pole and Red Bull, the car looks quick. Well, okay, but Spain and Catalunya is a track that favours, it's high speed cornering, it's medium speed cornering, and that typically lends itself to the Red Bull. So it's going to be hard to distinguish what is a change because of the Flexi wings and what is a change because of just inherent characteristics of the track. And then you look at temperatures as well. It's going to be, again, mid to high 20s most likely. And I haven't seen any, I don't know, I could be wrong, like any rain predicted for the weekends. So yeah, it's going to be up to us as fans to try and, like, okay, just because there's a change, it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't correlate necessarily that it's because of the Flexi wings. It could just be, new track, different, very, very completely different to Monaco. You couldn't ask for two more different venues back to back, could you? Monaco to Barcelona. So, but yeah, interesting. 55% of you think it's going to make a big change. Right, and sorry, a small change. 35% of you a decent change. So we're kind of hanging there, right? So yeah, super chats. Thank you, Lauren, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Congratulations on the Red Bull gigging. Yes, you've been awestruck by Max showed, but only a smidge. Oh, it did, didn't it? Yeah. Look, go and give it a watch if you haven't seen the pods, the Talking Ball pods with Max and me. I was absolutely bricking it, and we actually filmed the bit with Max first. That was the very, very first bit we filmed before the intro, before the Calirov and Pero bit, before anything else. That was the very first thing, and I was absolutely, pardon my French, shitting myself, and so. And that definitely came across a bit, but the way I like to see it is that is as intense as it's ever going to get at Monaco in front of a live audience, which I haven't done anything in front of a live audience since any of my live shows, which has been a while, the Tommo and Aldous live shows. And then Max is there, and I've got to ask questions and not have word vomit. So yeah, I mean, look, first time I've got to be satisfied, but. Yeah, there's definitely. I'm my own biggest critic. Don't worry. So I'm not going to be I'm not going to settle until I'm satisfied, and I wasn't satisfied with that. So I'm only going to do better next time. Don't you worry. But yeah, thank you for all the support again. It's honestly, it's super humbling. It really is. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very, very cool. Thank you, Lofty. Do you think there's any chance do you think there is change in the characteristic of the McLaren with the Flexi wing change? Which driver do you think will adjust better? I mean, so much of the benefit, to my understanding, of having a flexible wing is it, and we're talking about a front wing specifically here. Obviously, we've seen McLaren flexing rear wing, learn to speak. And obviously, if you're changing the downforce of a wing, which is what the flexibility does, on the front, and then we're just talking about the front in isolation because that's the focus of this TD change for Spain. You change the downforce on the front wing, and that changes the balance of the car. And the idea is that, right, well, when you're in high speed, it flexes, it takes downforce off of the front wing, and then that stops the front being pushed in as much, moves the aerodynamic shift backwards, rearwards, and that makes the car less skittish, because you don't want high speed oversteer. That's the last thing you need, right? And if you've got loads of downforce in the front wing at high speed, you're going to be pushing the front of the car in, and then you're more likely to lose the rear. So the idea is that the flexibility trims off downforce from the front wing in high speed, but then when you want that downforce on the front wing in the low speed, then it flexes back and then pushes the front tyres down, gives you downforce, gives you more grip in the low to medium speed stuff. You know, that's the broad. Go watch a Driver 61 Scott Mansell. Go watch an F1 Unchained. Go watch the race. Go if you want a proper in-depth technical analysis. But that is the TLDR of what the front wing flexibility is aiming to achieve and why it is important. Now, your question, Lofty, as to who I think will adjust to it better. Look, obviously, if the wings are less flexible, it could mean that if you're not as confident in that, high speed oversteer, if you're worried about high speed oversteer, that could become a bigger worry for you. I do think, honestly, I really do think Lando putting it on pole in Monaco and converting the win will be huge for his confidence, not only in himself, but in the car that's underneath him. And Oscar and Max were really at risk of almost running away with the narrative in terms of the focus being on them two and Lando kind of falling away. And he's clutched up in Monaco. He's got the result. I don't have an answer for you, Lofty. Which driver do you think will adjust better? If prior to Monaco, I would say I just think Oscar's inherently more comfortable in the car. But I think in Monaco, Oscar at his moment where he had a bit of oversteer, almost clipped the barrier into turn one. Right now, I couldn't tell you, honestly, because I think Lando's, again, riding a bit of a wave now. And, well, I guess, can he maintain this, right? Is that Monaco result just a shot in the dark? Is it just a one-off? Or is he going to be able to maintain this momentum? It's all about confidence, and I don't know. I don't know, Lofty. I don't have an answer for you. I don't want to say an answer where I don't have one. You know what I mean? So, thank you, Dylan. Appreciate the super chat as well. I know it's Monaco related, but why not smooth out the last corner so the drivers can maintain close proximity going into the DRS main straight, and also moving the grid back, increasing the run to turn one. So smooth out the last corner, because it is a bit of a tricky final corner, isn't it? Yeah, it's very, very tight, that kind of final sector at Monaco. Incredibly tight. Going into the DRS main straight and also moving the... The thing is, I just don't think there's enough width to get a move done into one. I know we've seen it before, but you need a massive overspeed to be able to get a move done into turn one. I honestly, I think to retain the existing layout, I think Nouvelle Chicane, you move it back and you either retain it as a chicane or just have it as a hard braking zone, tight left, tight right. I mean, it's essentially keeping it the same and just moving it back. To me, because in Alex Vert's, the stuff Alex Vert's put out, which you can look up on Twitter, because he's got a track design company himself, kind of like Tilke, and obviously Alex Verts was head of the GPDA, so he knows what he's talking about. He used to race in F1. He suggested a change at Rascasse, he suggested a change at the hairpin, and he suggested the moving of the Nouvelle Chicane. And I think the Nouvelle Chicane one will make the biggest difference, because you can get cars behind. We saw Stroll, well, we didn't see on the live feed, but I showed it to you on my post-race. Stroll did make a move on Hulkenberg on the very last lap on the outside around the Nouvelle Chicane. If you add another 80 metres is what Verts is suggesting, and that sounds about right. If you add another 80 metres, that you're not allowing the cars to go so quick that they have a crazy accident. Well, I mean, it would still be scary, anyone shunting there. But yeah, I feel like that is the most sensible one. I think, in my opinion, I don't think flattening out the final corner would make enough of a difference to make T1 an overtaking opportunity. The thing is, you only need... I really like how Monaco's got the bump where you have to go round it. I like a lot about Monaco's character. You only need to create one overtaking opportunity, and it basically fixes the whole, Liam holding everyone up, then Alex holding everyone up, then Carlos you just need one overtaking opportunity, and that doesn't happen. So I in my opinion, there should be a focus on just looking at one specific place and changing that one specific place and keeping the rest of the track the same. Because there is a lot of, that final corner, you say that, flatten it out. But I think in qualifying, the fact that it isn't flat and it's a bit sketchy, I think adds to it, So if you can just make the Nouvelle Chicane a proper overtaking opportunity, I think the rest falls into place, and you keep the old heads happy. You want to preserve Monaco as close to the historic Monaco as possible. But you do, and now these cars are going to be a little bit slower. Sorry, a little bit smaller. They will be a little bit slower, but that's not going to matter so much. Less dirty air. Going to be harvesting energy differently, and that's probably going to mean a bit more. And you're going to have a spread out field as well, so there's more difference between the quickest and slowest cars. For me, it's you focusing on one place, fix that, and then, jobs are good, I reckon. Thank you, Ro. Congrats on the job, mate. No need to super chat. Thank you, Ro. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. Thank you, Owen, as well. Hey, mate, been a while. Glad to see you doing so well. Saw your video about working with Red Bull. That's huge. Still got that 50k pin. What a throwback, Owen. 50k pin. The enamel pins. If I ever hit 500k, I'm going to have to do something. I think that's the next kind of proper... not that I'm... Honestly, because YouTube doesn't incentivize really subscribers anymore. It's more of a vanity metric, I'll be honest. But it's just cool, isn't it? You know what I mean? I got my plaque over there. But yeah, man, love that, Owen. Thank you very much. We'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, it's down to me. If I cock it up, then it's all on me. But I'm gonna try my best not to. Right, let me have another little look on the old live chat. What else we got? Wouldn't that require moving landmarks, Tom? Is that in regards to Nouvelle Chicane? I don't think it would. Again, when I did my video a couple of years back, that's one of the exact changes. That is the exact change to the track I suggested, and I suggested going around the roundabout before you head into the tunnel. But I don't necessarily maybe think that's actually needed if you just change the Nouvelle Chicane. I'm not so attached to adding the roundabout, but I don't think it would. I think it would just mean they would need to build out into the harbour a little bit. But I mean, look at Monaco. There's tons of infrastructure that allows that place to exist that wasn't put there by nature. So I think it's doable, and it's Monaco. There's just billionaires knocking about everywhere. They've got the money to do it if they really want to do it. And then you appease everyone, because then you get the fans on board, because it actually becomes, it's never going to be an unbelievable overtake Central Grand Prix. But I don't think that's what we're asking for. I think we're just asking for it to be a proper race where, you can actually make overtakes and you can actually get something done. And you can do something funny in strategy, and it's not just this. It was a bit shambles, really, wasn't it? And you preserve this amazing Saturday where quali is so good. And look, I'll be honest, I still think quali could do with some changes. I really do. I think I quite like Carlos's idea of splitting, because traffic is just a joke, and someone's going to have a really, really bad accident one day, because the traffic is just an absolute nightmare at Monaco. But yeah, I just think that everyone can win, and right now the fans are losing. Even if the people go there, and I mean, I was there Saturday only. Amazing time. Of course I had an amazing time, and you had an amazing time watching on telly at home. And if you were there at the race, you'd have had an amazing time watching these cars go full tilt. And what do I always say? I've said this so many times. Honestly, if you're going to go to a Grand Prix, my recommendation is go on a Friday and a Saturday. Doesn't matter what the Grand Prix is. Go on, ideally both, because Friday's cool. You see a lot of cars going around. You see a lot of the junior sessions as well. But go on a Friday, go on a Saturday. Go and see these cars, low fuel, full tilt. And you can follow qualifying when you're at a Grand Prix, because when you're just looking at individual laps, and try and sit at a place where these cars that sit. I mean, when I went to Miami, I was sat at the S's, and they cars looked so cool, unbelievable. Seeing that in the flesh, these cars just going full tilt through there, so good. And then watch the race at home. It's cheaper tickets to go on a Friday and Saturday as well. F1 aren't going to fight. It's not worth going on a Sunday. I really don't think it is. If you're going to go, if it's that or nothing, of course, right? But You can't follow the race. It's so hard to follow the race. And if you're here watching this channel, I know that you're interested in knowing everything that's going on, right? And you wanna know what's happening in the battle for P15 and 16. It's so hard to fight. It's hard enough on the telly, let alone when you're sat at one single corner and you can't take it in, you know. But yeah, only go if it rains on Sunday. But then if it rains on Sunday, Alexander, you're going to get soaked. So unless you got like one of them brolly hats, you know, which keeps you dry, then bosh, you know. But that's my recommendation anyway. That's my recommendation. Right, okay, cool. Let's crack on with the rest of the pre-race CHINWAG, shall we? And let's take a look at a certain, just to make sure I click on the right thing, certain bunch of bangers and clangers, shall we? Starting with my predictions, and I'm doing this a bit different this time out. I'm just going to go all of mine in one big hit. And this weekend, I think Super Max Verstappen's going to win the race. King Yuki Tsunoda, banger driver. Both McLarens are going to have a clanger. Banger Team Red Bull Racing, obviously. And everybody else is going to be a clanger, apart from Visa Cash Out Racing Balls. I'm joking. I'm obviously joking. I'm obviously joking. My race winner for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix might even be more chaotic than that. I'm going with Charles Leclerc. Now. Calm down. Before you get aggy with me in the live, calm down, okay? Let me explain myself. Going into this season, I predicted Charles Leclerc would win the 2025 F1 World Championship. I think he's the driver on the grid most deserving of a World Championship that doesn't have one yet. And I'm choosing, and I've made this choice before and been burnt by it, but I'm choosing once again. I'm choosing belief. I'm choosing to believe that Ferrari, they should have a new front wing coming. I can see all the live chat messages coming in. I'm not looking at it. I'm choosing to believe that Ferrari they have been not fully exploiting their car, and that there is more I can hardly believe myself when I'm talking, because I feel like I've banged this drum so many times. I really hope, the thing is, it needs to be now. It needs to be now. Okay, we're 8 races done, 16 to go. If Ferrari are going to be able to justify changing 95% of the car, did he even say 99, Fred? I think he said 95, didn't he? Going into this season, they've done all this work to change the car. Okay, a car that ended last year is probably the strongest car on the grid, certainly points-wise. Charles outscored everyone for the second half of the season. It has to be now. The performance has to come now. If it doesn't come now, oh dear, heads are going to roll, because like, this is the latest Ferrari can give Charles and Lewis a race-winning car, and actually maybe one of them deliver a driver's title. Brian, you say I don't look like I believe what I say. Would I put money on it? No. But belief is sometimes delusional, and that's fine. That's okay. I just really want to be right about my prediction. Maybe that's it. But if the Flexi wing changes work in Ferrari's favour, Ferrari notoriously bad in slow speed, yet were quick in Monaco. Explain that one. Charles couldn't. Spain, you would think, I don't know. Okay, it's a prediction. I'm hopeful. Is it backed by tons of logic? It is not. But sometimes it isn't. And what do I always say? The chance of nothing unlikely happening is in itself unlikely. And Charles Leclerc race winner might just be one of those things. Okay? Look, I accept my delusion. I'm very open and honest with my delusion. Okay? I'm not in denial about it. Don't worry, chat. What about Alonso race winner? Look, listen. when he was running comfortably top 10, part of me was like, hang on a second, I'm onto something here. Because he was cooking, and then his ERS cooked itself, and then he broke down. So, yeah, he cooked too much, did Fernando. Yes, Arrow, I have gone full Delulu today. It's all part of the fun and games. So, my race winner, Charles Leclerc. 1,112 of you voted, so please make sure you subscribe to the Tommo YouTube channel or follow me on Twitter at Tommo McCluskey to make sure you see the polls that I post. I posted it yesterday, so thank you to everyone who put your responses in. I also try and remember to put it in the top of the live chat when I schedule the stream, so to make sure you can't miss out. But thank you for voting in the live poll if you did, and your race winner for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix is Max Verstappen. 33% of you. Try and call me biased. Yeah, all right. 33% of you think Max. 28% of you think Oscar Piastri. 25% of you think Lando Norris. And only 6% of you, but you're out there. The delusional Ferrari, Scuderia, Leclerc believers are out there. I feel seen, okay? I feel seen. Max 33%. There you go. Banger drive for me is Carlos Sainz. I think he got up to speed in the Williams now. I think he's been very unlucky he should have more points on the board, absolutely. In Monaco, qualifying hurt him, but he still only started one place behind Alex. And then, of course, Monaco'd, right? And they did what they had to do to get in the points. It was nonsense, but whatever. I think Carlos has found his feet in this Williams now. He was strong in Spain last year. I think that Carlos is going to have a very strong top 10 finish, maybe even a top 5. I could see Carlos being quicker than the Mercedes, honestly, in his Williams. I think Williams are bringing a change. Obviously, Flexi win changes affect everyone, but I believe Williams are bringing an update. We don't know for sure. They obviously keep stum about a lot of it, but I could see Carlos at his home Grand Prix having a blinder. So I'm going to back Carlos this year. This year's Spanish Grand Prix. For my banger drive, your banger drive is Fernando Alonso at his home Grand Prix. 22% of the vote. Carlos Sainz, 12% of the vote. So you're out there as well. Well done. 10% Lewis Hamilton and 8% Max Verstappen. Yeah, Lewis tends to go pretty well around Spain, so I'm backing that. But yeah, Fernando Alonso 22%. I just hope. How has Fernando still not got a point? That's actually crazy that he's still not got a point. Awful, honestly. Aston Martin, sort it out, man. Pull your finger out. Come on. We know Fernando deserves better than this. Clanger driver for me, I've gone Kimi. He's had a couple of difficult weekends. I also think that the Mercedes is going to do bad. I'm not expecting much from the Merc. Watch him put it on pole and win, of course. It's the temperature that's concerning me. Mid to high 20s. I think he's going to make it a real difficult weekend. We saw George fall back. I know Lewis managed to get that P3 podium, and Lewis's race management, tyre management is very, very good. I think Kimi, that's the thing that he needs to learn, that he's going to learn in time, is managing a race, managing these Pirellis. And in the heat in Spain, I think it's going to be too much to ask for him, and I don't see him having a great weekend for me, in my opinion. Your clanger drive is Franco Colapinto, 21% of the vote. You've gone for him again. Obviously, yeah, the lack of experience, I kind of understand that, and he's quite convincingly clear, actually. 21% of you. Then the next is Stroll, 9%. You're always going to put Stroll in the top 4, aren't you? He can put all the banging moves around the outside of Hulkenberg in at Monaco, the only overtake of the entire race, and you're still going to put him in clanger. Lewis 9% as well, and Yuki Tsunoda 8%. I think Yuki needs a big weekend. He does. He needs a big weekend. I'm really hopeful. You know, I've been invested in Yuki Coin for a very long time, and I really hope that he doesn't have a clanger. I really hope he can deliver something, because I expect that Red Bull to be quick. I don't expect it to be slow at all, but I expect it to be quick, and I hope he can. He's just got to get top 10 in quali and finish ahead of the Williams. That'll be a good weekend, you know. Banger team, I've gone with Scuderia Ferrari, because obviously if Charles wins the race, then Ferrari would have had a banging weekend. That kind of goes without saying. Your banger team is Williams, 17% of the votes. 16% McLaren, 14% Ferrari, 14% Red Bull. So pretty evenly spread. No convincing winner there. But I'm saying Carlos Sainz banger. So I don't doubt it. We know that Williams is quick in a straight line, and they've got a good overall package now that they're just getting better and better. And again, Carlos is a bit of a genius around this place. So he's decent. Banger team, Williams, just ahead of McLaren for you. And then finally, clanger team, I've gone with Mercedes. Again, I think the temperature is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt Kimi. And time management is still a bit of a myth for Mercedes. And it's too late on in this regulation cycle for them to fix it. They've been talking about fixing it for a long time, and they still haven't. So my expectations are low. Mercedes, they're my clanger team this weekend. And your clanger team, 26% of the vote is Alpine. Which, yeah, I mean, it does track. I was hoping for something good in Monaco, because their PU deficit isn't punished as much around a track like Monaco, but turns out they were also rubbish around Monaco because they can't go over the bumps. And around a quick track like Catalonia, I don't expect much from them either. But I just think Mercedes are going to relatively clang more, I guess. 12% Ferrari, 11% Haas, 10% McLaren. There you go. There are your bangers and clangers. Max, Fernando, Franco, Williams, Alpine, and mine, Leclerc, Sainz, Antonelli, Ferrari, Mercedes. So we're all different this weekend. But who's going to win? We'll find out on Sunday night / Monday morning, whenever I'm doing it. Josh Lewis, am I a ginge? As in, am I ginger? It's more brown and then grey, like mousy brown, and now I'm going grey on the sides. If you want a proper answer to that question. Okay, excellent. Right, what else? What else we got? Live chat, what you got for me? Let me just briefly reflect again. Almost 2,000 of you voted in this poll. How much will the Flexi wing change impact the competitive order? And the percentages are about the same. 5%, 6% of you absolutely loads, 35% a decent amount, 54% hardly at all, and 5% of you think it'll make zero change at all. Again, this is something we're all going to have to do our best to try and write how much of this is track specific changes in competitive order versus Flexi wing changes in competitive order. That's what's going to be difficult. And honestly, I don't think we're going to learn enough in Spain to say with absolute certainty who it's hurt the most and who it's helped the most. But we'll see. When am I going to go bald? I mean, it's a good question, Joel. If I keep wearing hats, then probably sooner rather than later. What do you mean? When is the next Red Bull podcast? I can't tell you that. I can't be divulging those kind of details. But we've got some very, very interesting stuff lined up. I can assure you that. Stuff that I'm very excited. So, talking ball. Give it some love. Hot Pays. The Indy 500 was a little mid. The weather was crazy, but the drama always on point with Andretti and Penske. Yeah, of course, because was it Ericsson, Kirkwood, and Ilott all got disqualified, but not technically disqualified, moved to the back after, because there was... Indy's been like really... There's been a lot of sus stuff going on in IndyCar as of late, in terms of teams like cheating or having dodgy parts on their cars or whatever. And imagine if Marcus had won it, because he came so close as well. I'm glad Palou got it done, because I think Alex Palou deserves an Indy 500 after his all of his IndyCar championships. But yeah, I mean, if Ericsson had won that would have been a PR nightmare, absolute stinker. So I'm glad he didn't for that reason. Obviously, I wanted. I think Pato O'Ward's great. And he's very, very spicy after the fact in terms of his criticism of the events and his criticism of Marcus. But I've got a lot of love for Pato, so I would have liked to see him win it. But I'm glad for Alex that he's got the job done in the end. Will Tomo get in a rally car with Gullet? I mean, Christopher, if I was in a rally car, I get horrific motion sickness. Like, I'm so bad on a boat. So, bro, that would be a mess, like, within 5 minutes. Probably 5 seconds, to be honest. Franco, I'm glad you like the shirt. This is Adidas Golf. And I'm wearing a golf hat as well. I'm in my full golf garments because I've got a lesson later today. And I just wanted to dress for the occasion. It's kind of sad, but there you go. Oh dearie me. Yes, give the stream a like, everyone. Appreciate it. Palou is the next Verstappen. It's really interesting. You look at Alex Palou's career, because obviously Spanish, started off in Europe, and you know, you look at have a look at his Wikipedia, and it's like his results didn't set the world alight. He was kind of a bit of a slow burner in Europe, and then obviously went over to the US to pursue that kind of direction. You see, like, you know, you're increasingly seeing European drivers tread that path, you know, not even getting into the FIA series like F3 and F2 and just going straight over to try and get via like Indy Next and that. And yeah, I mean, he's just done an unbelievable job, and to dominate a championship as competitive as IndyCar, so much talent. You know, McLaughlin, Dixon, Newgarden, like O'Ward's, these, you know, there's so many quality drivers. And for Palou to just make it look so easy, I'd love to see him in an F1 car. I'd absolutely love to see him in an F1 car. It'd be so, and we know that, I mean, was it like, I've read various things about Palou. I've read that, because the whole Chip Ganassi blocking him to go to McLaren, like, I've read that he was meant to be in alongside Norris before they got Piastri. You know, like, there's some wild rumours out there around Alex Palou, how close he maybe was to getting an F1 seat. And it would be a crying shame if he never gets the opportunity to, because he clearly does want to race in F1. And now he's ticked off the Indy 500, he can very much say, IndyCar completed it, mate. He's got more than enough super license points. He's got super license points gushing out of every orifice. Right? He can't even... It's too many super license points, if any. You can't carry him around with him at all times, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it'll be 4 Indy titles after this year, because of course he's going to win it this year, right? He's won 3 already, and this will be the 4th. And then done the Indy 500. Give him an opportunity. At least give him an FP1. I want to see how he goes, because he's had an FP1, hasn't he? Or was that Cota? I'm sure, has Palou had an FP1 at Cota? Or am I thinking of O'Ward in a McLaren? I'm not sure. Oh God, yeah, Rayner, Gabby gonna. Did you hear Gabriel Bortoletto's radio? When he was like, Kibby didn't get a penalty, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll put him into the wall next time. I was like, Gabby, you don't say that on the radio, bro. his race engineer was like, Gabby. That stays in there, Gabby. That doesn't come out of there. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Scorcher, thinking that Ferrari low speed performance in Monaco is probably a sign that they have good compliance and mechanical grip, but are probably struggling with the aerodynamic platform. Well, Scorcher, the anticipation going in is that they wouldn't be good in the low speed, but I think around Monaco, a lot of it is like you're still fueling the car the same, but obviously you're not generating the same levels of downforce around Monaco because it's a much slower track. So that, to me, that's obviously changed something. I think if you have, you know, it's one thing having slow speed. When you've got slow speed corners, you're not having to carry that, you know, mechanical and aerodynamic load through a turn. It obviously caught Ferrari out somehow, because there was so much like sandbagging talk basically before the weekend that Ferrari are going to be nowhere internally as well, like within Ferrari. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. They don't know. So if they don't know, I ain't got a Scooby. Thank you, Marek, for the super chat. Tomo has been saying Leclerc should win for years, and every time he does, something goes wrong. It's like he's cursed. Yeah, you could say that. As a Ferrari fan, I'm honestly glad he's joined Red Bull now. Maybe he'll start jinxing them for a change. So no, the problem, right? If I start giving bangers to the Red Bull lot, then it'll be like, oh, he's biased. But then also, if I do, it might jinx them. And then the team won't be happy with me. So I can't win, you know? I can't win. I can't win. Cadillac second driver. Yeah, I mean, we've not heard much update from Cadillac about their team personnel for next season. I mean, Checo, surely they want Checo. Will he go? I don't know, but surely they want Checo. I do think an option, if Colapinto does not show an improvement, a level that is at least as good as Jack's, because I think the level Jack was driving at relative to Pierre, as much as he had his incidents and as much as he wasn't consistent, he did have moments where he was right there with Pierre. If Colapinto can show at least that, I think he's okay. I think if Colapinto really struggles, I could definitely see Flavio being right. We gave you a chance. You're out, son. Checo if you're not being funny, right? If you're building a team to sell, which it feels like is what the plan is from Renault, then having Checo on board, the amount of merch he shifts, the amount of interest. I know Franco brings loads as well, but Checo is a proven, known entity as well behind the wheel. And I think that would be a really good place for Checo to kind of get back into the sport. As much as Alpine, it's a team that's had a lot of difficulty. Obviously, leaving Red Bull in the way he did and how that's kind of affected the way he's perceived by a lot of fans. You know, Checo got that Red Bull seat for a reason, because he was one of the best drivers on the entire grid in 2020. And his career to that point was very, very, very solid. So, yeah, that could mix things up as well. Maybe Colapinto to Cadillac. Musical chairs, you know what I mean? Can Verstappen overtake or surpass Lewis's 8 titles? I think Max will stay in the sport for as long as he wants to. I've said this before many a time. In my opinion, I think it just makes so much sense for Max to stay for 26 at least, and then he can see how the pecking order's changed, who's got the best engine, blah, blah, blah. If Red Bull were competitive, then yeah, maybe he will stay for 27, 28. If they're nowhere, then obviously everyone will be offering contracts to him, the top teams, whichever engine, assuming it's going to be the Mercedes, is going to be the best power unit. I don't think there's any reason for Max to not give Red Bull the chance in 26 to show what they can do. And if it's not enough, then the game's the game, and he's going to have to weigh up his possibilities moving forward. That's the way I feel about the situation. But for now, I think as well, like, give Yuki the season. I'd like to see Yuki in the Red Bull in 26 as well. It's going to be different. It's not going to be a newly designed car. I think Red Bull, you know, they need to not allow this situation that has permeated since Pierre jumped in the car in 2019, where no one else and proven known entity drivers can't jump in and drive it. So I hope that Red Bull were able to find something that can give that other driver. And we know how good Yuki is. That's the thing. We know how good he is. We've seen how good he is. We've seen him deliver. We've seen him grow from this guy who didn't think he should have deserved a contract extension. You know, I've been defending him from day dot, right, in the trenches. And we've seen him grow and flourish. And now he's in the Red Bull. It's proven challenging, just like it did for all of his predecessors prior to Ricciardo. So, yeah, I hope they find a way to make it work, because I've got a lot of love for Yuki. I do. Right. Anything? Surely Max could easily get the Triple Crown. I think he's already said he doesn't want to do the Indy 500 though. I think it's just too dangerous. Which I mean, they're doing like 230, 235, like 4 wide. I mean, Jesus, that's something. Game Right, is the stream sponsored by Adidas? I'd love that. I would love a little Adidas logo in the corner. Just there. I'll put it just there, Adidas, if you're watching. Just put it just there. Yeah? Yeah? Adidas? Yeah. Yeah, right there. Okay. I'm waiting for Adidas to reply in the live chat, but they're not here, which is a shame. Okay, I think we're done. I think that is a decent little pre-race CHINWAG for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix. I'm very, 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 very interested to see how the competitive order changes. I'm very interested to see what upgrades the teams are going to bring outside of the Flexi win changes tomorrow as well. And please, Ferrari, find something, give your drivers a competitive package to win a driver's title. It's now or never. You can't wait any longer. The season started so poorly. If they're going to justify, if they're going to be able to look back and justify changing 95% of the car, whatever the exact number that Fred said was, then it needs to be now. I'm choosing belief. Will I get hurt? Probably. Probably will. Oh, wow, Greg, I've just seen your super chat as well. This fills me with joy. Greg Moore, the nose strips helped with the sleep problem. Can now smell colours. Come on. Come on. That's what I need. A nose strip sponsorship. That's what I need. I'd literally wear it right here. Just on there. Nice big nose strip. If you're struggling sleeping, get a nose strip. You can get them on Amazon for like cheap. I don't have an affiliate link. This is just my recommendation, and it worked for Greg, and it can work for you as well. Nose strip, stick it on your nose, breathe in 4K. It's amazing, and you won't be snoring anymore. So your partner will thank you for it. If you've got one, then you won't be snoring anymore. There you go. Happy days. Thank you all for joining. Really do appreciate you taking the time. And again, thank you honestly so much for all the kind words around my new job working with Red Bull Racing this year on Talking Ball podcast. So go check that out if you haven't already. I was very nervous, and it definitely comes across, and it will only get better. I've definitely got some work to do, but yeah, job's a good one. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.